it's like heaven on earth. They don't think over there. Yeah, Lakeview.
All right, y'all. Here we have the Capita Mercury review. After putting this thing through some paces, I think I have a nice overall feeling of how this board rides. To start, we have some pretty good powder here, and considering this is the 155 and I'm around 5'10", 175, I would say it's right at my limit in terms of I probably could have went 157, but I wanted just more maneuverability. Now for this powder day, I set the stance all the way back and felt really freaking good. My other board right now is a Jones Mind Expander, and it's the powder focus one before they changed it up to be better for the mountain. And you know, this definitely held its own coming from that board and some really awesome powder. I definitely think setting the stance back helped a lot, and really I didn't get too much crazy leg fatigue, and this is kind of wet Tahoe snow, so it is Sierra cement, so it is thick with 2 C's, but the Capita Mercury just plows through. And I really like how the board maintains its stiffness when you're using it in this deep powder, but it definitely still has some play and some flex when you need it. Now, really the bottom line with the Capita Mercury with this new 2025 edition, and I think the past editions are, it is, I think, a little more of an aggressive board. You have to kind of work it. Now, you can be sometimes a little lazier with it, but it's always in the back of your mind that you are riding a mid-stiff flex board, and it does like to be on its edges as opposed to just going flat. This was a very amazing powder sesh, and thank the powder gods for that. And luckily, these couple days I got a few different sessions. This one day was pretty windy, snowy, kind of madness, and a bit windy, but just enough serenity that it didn't cause the session to go full-blown chaos. And it was a great time to really put the Mercury through its deeper snow paces. Now, this other day was kind of more of like a normal groomer day. As you can see, there's a lot less thick snow, but this condition right here, it really excels in, because there's still a nice little layer of snow above the, you know, kind of hardpack snow. And the Mercury does great with kind of gripping. Here you can see I'm going switch, and for only being an inch setback from center when you're riding it normally, and I'm also riding the board pretty much a reference here, it does really well switch. I mean, that's what I like about the board, is even though it is an all mountain directional twin, you can still ride it switch, and even with your angles slightly different, like 15 and 12 or 18 and 12 or, you know, 15 and 9, you're still going to be able to ride switch like this, and it's going to feel really good. I've just noticed when you start getting too extreme between the two different positive and negatives, that for me makes more of a difference than even the board type. I could even ride my Jones Mind Expander switch, and that thing has a humongous nose, and the tail, it feels kind of weird, but it's doable. This is much more doable, and it's getting to that point where it almost feels like a pretty decently same nose and tail board, kind of like just a normal twin. But I think that's why this all mountain directional twin kind of is the best of both worlds, because when you really have a solid powder day, it's going to perform great. But then when you're just messing around more on a day like this, you can throw it around, ride switch, and it's going to feel more like a twin board that has the same tail and nose. Also, we have the Union Ultra in there and the Salomon X-Approach boots. The Union Ultra are more surfier, mid-flex binding, but for me, I really like them. It kind of evens out the kind of more aggressive ride that the Mercury is. And the Salomon boots, they just fit my foot best, and I've been through the ringer with boots. So boots, I'm gonna say it's pretty much a crapshoot. Just find whatever doesn't kill your feet, and it could take some trial and error. Salomon right now are working good for me. Now the Mercury, what it really excels in is speed. This thing flies. You're borderline out of control. But what's nice is, even though your mind is telling you, oh, you're out of control, we're getting a little crazy here, you actually feel in control. That's what I really like. It doesn't feel like you're gonna start turning, getting on edge, and the board's just gonna wash out. It holds really, really well. The only times I kind of felt it trying to wash out, like you saw there a little bit on heel side, is when the snow is kind of that thick Sierra cement type, and it can get a little bouncy just when it gets chopped up. So sometimes what alleviates that is just maneuvering a little different, but if certain snow conditions are present, the board could be a little chattery, but overall it still plows through that chundery chop, shout out angry snowboarder, well when you need it. Like here, I feel like I'm just flying. Definitely one of the fastest boards. It feels like I'm on the two fish surfboard on the Capita Mercury, and this is a great example of how you're borderline out of control because you're going so fast, but it holds the edge so well that you feel great, and you don't actually feel out of control. You just could see where it's like, wow, I'm going pretty fast. If this board kind of messed up a little bit, that could be bad. Now for presses and stuff, it's pretty good. I'm not like the best presser, but here I'm doing like a little 5-0 press. It's definitely, as the board starts to break in after some sessions, it gets easier. And especially if you, like when I have my stance back on it, it kind of makes the nose area bigger and you can push a little easier on there. And same with the 5-0 tail. So I almost prefer to ride the board now with the stance all the way back, just because it's a little more like a powder focused surfier board, and you get that nice big nose to kind of use as like a plank to lean into, and then the tail is very shorter, so it kind of acts more like a natural surfboard or a natural skateboard. When you think about what a twin snowboard is, it's kind of different than a skateboard or a surfboard, because both tail and nose are the same. So you can kind of mimic the surfboard or skateboard by just setting your stance back a little bit. Now again, I'm sure if you're in fluffier snow, it would be even quicker. But in the thicker, with 2C, Sierra cement, what the board does nice is you can kind of like bounce up and down, like when I'm going down here. If you want to like engage a little pop, the board has a lot of spring, which I like. It's a very springy board. And it's also, I think, just kind of like the best of all worlds. Like, it's, this phrase gets pounded into the ground being overused, but it really is an amazing daily driver, quiver killer, because on this kind of last couple of days, each day was pretty different. And I thought that the board did well in each day. And even on like the deepest powder day, it was nice to give it a run. And I really liked how, the fact that I did go 155 kind of right at the max limit, it still performed really great. Because just considering my last couple seasons, I've been having some boot issues and just trying to ride more pain-free. I like the smaller length just to give more maneuverability, less weight, kind of go back to that tried and true wide stance, baggy pants feel, even though I have narrowed my stance a good amount. But this trip, I did land on the Travis Rice stance, which is 23 and 18/19 and negative 12, so I'm liking that. Now here's some park runs, and the board actually does, I think, pretty well in the park. It has a lot of pop, so for jumps, it's great because you can just really engage the kind of camber and it just springs and pops. And it has so much speed going into the jump that You just have to be ready to kind of put the brakes on a teeny bit or just get it lined up nice. But I really liked how going up to jumps and boxes, it wouldn't, you can do little tight turns like this and it won't kind of just get too weird on you. It'll maintain its line and still be good. And, if you're doing park, you could even do, 12-12 or 15-15, and it's going to feel a lot like a twin. It's going to have enough stiffness to do these jumps, but you can still fling it around a little bit, especially if you go more of a normal size and don't oversize it too much. Now, is it like a skate banana or something? No. But again, like even on my mind expander, I felt like I could have fun in the park. So as long as you're not going for nothing too crazy and you're more of a just intermediate kind of rider like me here in the park, my days of going big are behind me and I just want to have fun. I want to snowboard another day. Same goal with my surfing. The goal is to surf another day. It's well mannered to shred the park, do everything you want. And it's great at going down the mountain and checking out these sweet lake views on our left. So you can maintain speed, plow through some of this chop. And again, if I did go a little bigger, it might be a little less chattery on the heel side. But because I want, a little more maneuverability, that's a sacrifice that I chose to take, and you could either take or not take. Because the longer the board, the more rail line you have, the more it's going to hold, but also a little less maneuverability. Now this was the best palisade. It stands all the way back, and it really, I think, excelled pretty well here. Would I have maybe preferred the Mind Expander? Yes, but at the same time, I like just having more of a kind of classic quote-unquote snowboard that has the camber, that is kind of what you're used to from back in the day, and you can mimic the surfy feeling by just riding how you want to ride. Now, a couple other things about the board is that it has the V2 profile, so it is a raised camber through the bottom to the inserts, and then the elevated contact points do help with the powder. So I do like that, and it's kind of like the science behind why it still does good in powder. Here's me trying to press a little bit and somewhat doing it, but again, still need some time to get super used to the board and to have it break in more to really get like the hardcore press. There's also some like death grip that is a side cut that can kind of sometimes, back in the day, some people say it might be a little twitchy. For me, it definitely was not like that. The board felt better the more I rode, but the first time I rode it, it was like, felt like you were skating on an ice rink. It almost needed to be detuned a little bit. So I thought that was interesting, how as the board breaks in, it just rides better. But then when you get on kind of icy stuff like this, it still holds and you can still fling it or, throw it around like that. But you want to make sure a board, if you're on the ice coast, is going to do well on ice. And I think the Mercury does do well in ice because it has enough side grip. You're not really sliding out too much. So I really like that part of it. And I think it has a really good base that, again, is super fast. I can't even really imagine how fast the Mega Mercury is, because like, unless you want an even more aggressive ride and a lighter board, that would be a better bet. But I wouldn't want anything more aggressive than the Mercury, at least for my style of riding, etc. Because I'm riding it more like a surfboard, and I just want something I can go switch like here, have fun, maintain speed, go in the park if I need. And this Capita Mercury for me does it all. So in the end, I'm super stoked on it, and it's been a great pickup, for this season. And if you just want an overall, I think, one and done, you don't want to think about the board too much, what the conditions are doing, you can't really go wrong with it. I think some other good boards out there, I know the Spring Break Resort Twin gets a lot of love, and that would probably be my second bet, because it almost seems like A Capita Mercury just a little less aggressive, which could be a good thing because sometimes you do want to be a little lazier. The Mercury does need your undivided attention, but again, you're getting some great riding in as we check out this view of the lake on our way out. So thanks again, guys. If you want to check out some more snowboarding videos, click right up here. Until next time, we out. Peace.